Say a little prayer. I did. Hey everyone, my name is Rika and thank you so much for stopping by my channel again. So in today's video, I really want to talk about doing your G1 and getting it right on your first try, as well as some of the restrictions you can be expected to face because you are doing this during COVID time. So if that is something that interests you, feel free to keep watching. Don't forget to like this video, share, comment, subscribe, and let me know what you think in the comments below. So I'm going to explain the kind of the tiers of license in Ontario before we get started, just so that there's some context when I speak about G1, G2, and G throughout this video. So G1, G2, and a full G license are the three stages of Ontario graduate licensing program. Every driver must go through the G1 and G2 stages within 5 years. If you don't get a full G license after 5 years, you must start over. So that's kind of the premise of it. The G1, as I mentioned earlier, is kind of like your learners, but the difference is in Jamaica, you're of the age and you pay the money, and I think you fill out a form and you get your learners. Here, to get your learners, you would have to do the theoretical test, and that's how you get your G1. When you have your G1, you do have to have it for at least 12 months in order to go to your G2. What you can do though is if you go through like a ministry approved driving school, you can get that within 8 months. And if you have driving experience from back home and get a letter from your consulate, you are able to I think reduce the time that you would need to have your G1 before moving into your G2 or your G. So the first thing that I would advise someone who is doing their G1 test to do is to download G1 Genius. It's an app that you can get. It's a free app, very important, that you can get in the Apple Store, in the Apple App Store, or in Google Play. You just download the app and it stimulates tests. It pulls from a test bank of questions and you are able to practice. So I'll probably show you the downloading process in a screen recording, but here you will see like easy, and you'll practice the questions here. You have hard. You can practice questions over there as well. Let me see if I'm getting everything. So this is easy. You can practice the questions. This is hard. You're able to practice the questions. Hardest, that's locked. Maybe you have to pay for that. I'm really not sure. And then this is exam, and this allows them to pull from a bank of exam questions, and you are able to just practice from there. So that would be my first tip to you, is to just download G1 Genius, because it really helps in getting you prepped and kind of helping you to feel how the exam really is, because it's very similar, even though the wordings are not like dead on, like they don't match, but at the same time it really helps you to get an understanding of the concepts that you need to know in order to do that test. So after you have downloaded your G1 Genius and you've been practicing and you feel confident and you're like, yeah, I think I'm definitely ready to take on this test, I've been getting them correctly and I'm just ready to get on the road, the next thing that you would need to do is to find a location in your area. I assume that you need to have it in your area. I don't think there's any restrictions as to where you can do your G1 test, as far as I know. This is also for Ontario. I'm not sure what the regulations are for other provinces, but it's for Ontario. So you find a location that is closest to you or that you find most convenient. And for your G1 exams, at least the center that I was looking at, you don't have to book an appointment in order to do your G1 written test. I think for your G2, if they are doing them right now, you do have to book an appointment and follow the processes thereafter. But for G1, also I don't see them listed. Why that is, because I didn't even think that they were doing G1 tests. A friend of mine went and did hers and she was like, yeah, they're doing G1 tests, and it wasn't listed at her center, so I just went ahead and did mine as well. So that's something to keep in mind. Not because you don't see it listed doesn't mean that it's not a thing that's happening right now. Also, if you have a license from your home country, it's probably a good idea to get a letter from your home country. Well, I got mine from the Consulate General of Jamaica, and they just kind of say, well, they just say that they certified that I had a driver's license with a license number on it, which in Jamaica is usually your TRN. And they also added that please be advised that license number blah 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 has never been suspended. So they just let you know, I guess, you know, your driving record and all that stuff. So yeah, that might be a good idea, because if you have enough driving experience from back home, you get to skip your G2 license and you get to skip your G2 test and go ahead and do your G license. Something to also keep in mind is that the date of the letter that you get from your consulate, whether it be Jamaica or whatever country that you are from, because I got mine January 21, 2019. That's when it was dated for. And that was, I can't use it because it needs to be within the last 6 months. So that's just something to keep in mind. And I spent $40 on this. So that's just kind of like money gone down the drain because I got it way too early. I guess I wasn't necessarily ready to do it that time. I was really focused on school and yeah, this wasn't really that interesting. So you're now confident, you've found your location, you've gotten your letter from your consulate, and you know you're about to do the thing. So you pull up, you look when it opens, which is very important. Some of them do open on Saturday. So some of the driving test centers, they do open on Saturdays. So you don't necessarily have to take time off from work in order to accomplish this. And you look at the times that they open on a Saturday. So you go there, and when you step in, you have to do your sanitizations, and someone meets you at the front just to ask, you know, why are you here? Because with everything that's happening, they don't want people just lingering. It's not a hangout spot. You know, you come for a very specific purpose. So they ask you, you know, why are you here? What do you want to do? And all that stuff, and to just ensure that you have the right documents, because it doesn't make any sense that they give you a ticket and send you up to an agent to process you, and you don't have like, you know, any of the IDs that you need, or, you know, your license from back home, or the letter from the consulate if you want to utilize those things. So they asked what I had and what I was there for. I provided that, and then I got a number and I went through. After going through now, clearly you wait on your number to be called, and you go up to the agent. She asks you a few verification questions, you know, like if you have your ID again. It feels like going to the airport, low-key. So, you know, you have to present your ID, and she asked if you have a license from back home. I presented that, and my license was issued from back home. Let me see here. It was issued on the 11th of January 2017. So that's when I got my license. So I would have had a good amount of driving experience, I guess. But she only credited me 1 year driving experience from back home because I didn't have a valid letter. So I had the letter from the consulate, but because it was so old, I guess, she couldn't use that letter. I hope I'm explaining that right. So she couldn't use the letter, so she just validated me like a year driving experience from my home country. And to be honest, that was fine with me. The cost for the entire thing. So the cost to do this is... So if you do have a valid letter from your consulate giving you enough driving experience from your home country, you don't have to pay road test fee. So that would save you $53.75. So let me break down the entire amount that it would cost you. So the knowledge test that you would do on that day, that I did on that day, was $16. The license fee is $90. The road test fee is $53.75. So I paid overall $149.75 for this. So as I mentioned earlier, if you do have a letter from your home country, your consulate, you know, just validating your driving experience and record, you don't have to pay that $53, so it would be a little less. But then I paid like $40 to get that letter, so I don't know. I feel like the hassle that I had to went through, I would have just paid the $53 and just do all the tests over and just be done with it. Like it wasn't like that serious for me. Maybe different for you. She asked if I'm interested in doing my G1 today, and I was like, yeah, I'm interested to do that. They do test your eyes just to make sure that, you know, you can see, which, you know, is pretty important for driving. All right, so after you pay that now, they send you over to another section, and this is a section that you're actually going to do the test. So you go there and you wait to be called. Someone, you know, lets you know that which computer you can go to. You go to that computer and you do some validation, and then you are able to go ahead. And you have to sanitize a lot, let me tell you that. So to do your eye test, sanitize down the machine. So you have to sanitize when you go over to the other section, like a lot of sanitization. So for COVID restrictions, they're definitely A1. Social distancing is absolutely observed. There are no seats that you can sit down and chill. There's just like a lot of things that are in place to make sure that there's not a lot of people in there at the same time, and that there is a lot of distance between people who are there. So that's just something that you have to keep in mind. If you're not willing to wear a mask, I don't think you should be willing to go anywhere these days, because everywhere you have to wear a mask. Like, just don't fight it, just wear the mask. It's not that serious. We can just get through this. Anyhow, so you go ahead and you validate, do the validation process, you do your test. Say a little prayer. I'm joking. So if you want to, I did. and you go ahead, and there are two tests. You have one that's really theoretically based, so you just be asked questions, and then there's another one that you'll be shown like road signals and road signs and whatever. So each of the tests are 20 questions, and you have to get at least 16 right in order to be successful. So just bear that in mind. If you get one, incorrect right off the bat, just that you have 3 more mess ups that you can make. So you just want to keep that in mind, just so that you know that as you go along, if you want to like prolong answering that question, because you can skip it and then go back to it at the end. So you go through the test, and it really is a lot of what you would have learned in the G1 Genius. It really feels very similar, except I was doing it on my phone while I was practicing, and in person I am now doing it on a computer. So you do that and you go through the questions. When you do the first one, I don't remember what order they were in, if it was a sign one first or the theory one first, but I don't think it matters that much anyhow. Go ahead and you proceed with the test. I don't remember which one was which, as I mentioned earlier. And after the test, it will tell you there and then if you are successful, or if you, I don't know the message that comes up if you're not successful. So it just tells you if you've passed, and then you move on to the other test. After you've completed the other test, it tells you if you've passed or failed. If you have failed, you just, like, there's no excitement really. You just literally exit and you go around, and the place where I would have paid initially, you have to go back there and pay again in order to make another attempt, and then you just come back and just do the test. Like, if you pass though, you are expected to sit in your seat and wait to be called, because I guess the clerk would have done your validation when you came to the second side. She would get the message that so and so has passed, and then she calls your name and she tells you congratulations, and she gives you a temporary license that lasts 3 months. You are to wait for your permanent G1 license that comes in the mail, and that can take, I think, up to 3 months to get there too. Give you the temporary one for as long as it will take the permanent one to arrive. Though the permanent G1, when you get it, lasts up to 5 years. You also get a what you need to know pamphlet, and it just tells you about your road test preparation fact sheet, and it outlines some of the things that you do need to consider when preparing for your road test. Because I mentioned earlier, G1 is your learner's test, so you do need a road test to go ahead to go on the road and just show them that you actually can drive and you don't only know the theoretical knowledge associated with driving. So that's a good pamphlet to go ahead and read. And they also give you this other pamphlet that just talks about going to a ministry approved driving school, and it could reduce the amount of time that you would need to have your G1 license before you can actually apply to do your G2 road test. So if you don't have any driving experience from back home, you must have your G1 for 12 months before taking your road test for your G2. If you pass an approved driving course, you may take your G2 after 8 months. So we've covered preparation, we've covered COVID procedures, we've covered what it's like there, and we've also covered cost and what happens if you pass or fail. So I think that's kind of the tips that you do need, and the procedure that you need to keep in mind when you are going to do this test. If I've missed anything, feel free to leave a comment in the comment section below and let me know what you think, or let me know what your G1 experience was like, and what could have been changed, what could have been improved. And if they are doing G2 road test and you know of and you know how to book one, also comment that down below and let me know. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and I will see you in my next video.